On February 14, 1990, the Voyager 1 spacecraft turned its camera back toward the Sun from a distance of 6 billion kilometers. From the edge of the solar system, it captured a series of images that would fundamentally change how humans understand their place in the cosmos. In one of those images, Earth appears as a single pixel, a tiny point of light suspended in a sunbeam, barely visible, easy to miss if you don't know where to look. That image became known as the pale blue dot, and it created a problem, not a technical problem, not a scientific problem, an existential problem. Because when you see Earth from that distance, when you understand what that image represents, something shifts in your consciousness, something uncomfortable, something that makes you feel very, very small. Tonight we're going to explore that feeling, that sense of cosmic insignificance, that recognition that we are vanishingly small in a universe so vast that it makes the mind recoil. We're going to examine why the universe makes us feel small. Not just physically small, but temporally small, existentially small, meaningfully small. And we're going to confront the question that image forces us to ask: if we're this small, if we're this insignificant in cosmic terms, does anything we do actually matter? This is the pale blue dot problem, and it's one of the most profound challenges to human meaning ever photographed. Let's start by understanding what that photograph actually shows. The pale blue dot image captures Earth from 6 billion kilometers away. 6 billion. To put that in perspective, the Sun is about 150 million kilometers from Earth. Voyager 1 was 40 times farther from the Sun than Earth is. At that distance, Earth appears as a single pixel, 0.12 pixels to be precise, less than 1 pixel, a fraction of a dot of light scattered across a photograph. That dot contains everything, every person you've ever known, every person you've ever heard of, every human being who has ever existed. 8 billion people currently alive, 100 billion humans who have ever lived throughout all of history, every city, every country, every civilization, the pyramids and the Parthenon and the Great Wall, Rome and Athens and Beijing and New York, every empire that has ever risen and fallen, every war, every peace, every love story, every tragedy, every triumph, every discovery, every work of art, every piece of music, every book ever written, every thought ever thought, all of it on that dot. From 6 billion kilometers, you can't see continents, you can't see oceans, you can't see cities or countries or any human construction. You can't see any evidence that humans exist at all. Just a pale blue dot in a beam of sunlight. Now, 6 billion kilometers is not even that far in cosmic terms. That's still within our solar system. That's just past Neptune's orbit. We haven't even left our local neighborhood yet. And already, Earth is invisible, except as a single pixel. So what happens when we go farther? When we look at Earth from truly cosmic distances? Earth disappears entirely. From the nearest star, 4 light-years away, Earth would be completely invisible. Not a pixel, not a dot, nothing. Lost in the glare of our sun. From across the galaxy, our entire solar system would be invisible. The sun would be just one star among 400 billion, and not a particularly bright or interesting one. From another galaxy, our entire galaxy would be a smudge of light, 100 billion stars reduced to a faint glow. From across the universe, from billions of light-years away, even our galaxy disappears. Undetectable, irrelevant, gone. This is what the pale blue dot photograph forces us to confront. We are small, incomprehensibly small, and everything we care about, Everything we've ever known exists on a scale so tiny that it's invisible from any meaningful cosmic distance. That's the problem. That's the existential crisis. How do we find meaning in such extreme smallness? Let's explore just how small we actually are. Start with your body. You're about 1.7 meters tall, if you're average. That's your scale, the scale at which you experience the world. Now zoom out. Earth is 12,700 kilometers in diameter. That's about 7.5 million times your height. If you were the size of a grain of sand, Earth would be about the size of a basketball. Already, you're vanishingly small compared to your own planet. Now zoom out again. The Sun is 1.4 million kilometers in diameter, about 109 times wider than Earth. If Earth were the size of a basketball, the Sun would be about the size of a small house, 12 meters across, and the Sun is 150 million kilometers away from Earth. If Earth is a basketball and the Sun is a house, they're separated by about 3 kilometers. A half-hour walk. That's our local environment, the Earth-Sun system. And already, the distances are becoming difficult to grasp intuitively. But the Sun is just one star. There are others. The nearest one, Proxima Centauri, is 4.2 light-years away. A light-year is the distance light travels in 1 year. Light moves at 300,000 kilometers per second. In a year, it covers about 9.5 trillion kilometers. 4.2 light-years is about 40 trillion kilometers. If we keep our scale, where the Sun is a house and Earth is a basketball 3 kilometers away, how far would the nearest star be? About 800,000 kilometers, twice the distance from the Earth to the Moon. That's how far the nearest star would be, on a scale where the Earth-Sun distance is a half-hour walk. The space between stars is vast beyond intuition, empty beyond imagination. And there are 400 billion stars in our galaxy, 400 billion suns, each potentially with planets, each separated by distances measured in light-years. The Milky Way galaxy is about 100,000 light-years in diameter. If you could travel at the speed of light, which you cannot, it would take 100,000 years to cross from one side to the other. Light that left the far side of the galaxy when humans were just beginning to use stone tools is only now arriving at Earth. That's the scale of our galaxy. And our galaxy is not special, not large, not small, just average. There are about 2 trillion galaxies in the observable universe, 2 trillion, each containing hundreds of billions of stars. The nearest large galaxy to ours is Andromeda, 2.5 million light-years away. Light leaving Andromeda now was emitted when our ancestors were just learning to make tools, when we were barely recognizable as human. And Andromeda is close, a neighbor, part of our local group. Most galaxies are billions of light-years away. The most distant galaxies we can observe are over 13 billion light-years distant. We see them as they were 13 billion years ago, when the universe itself was young, when our galaxy didn't yet exist, when the Sun and Earth were still clouds of hydrogen drifting in space. The observable universe is 93 billion light-years in diameter. 93 billion. That's the distance light could have traveled since the Big Bang, accounting for the expansion of space. And that's just the observable universe, the part we can see. The actual universe is almost certainly larger, possibly infinite. So where does that leave us? We are creatures 1.7 meters tall, living on a planet 12,000 kilometers wide, orbiting a star in a galaxy 100,000 light-years across, in a universe 93 billion light-years in diameter. The ratio of your height to the diameter of the observable universe is about 1 to 5 times 10 to the 26th power. You are to the universe as a single atom is to all the sand on all the beaches of Earth. No, smaller than that, much smaller. You are cosmically insignificant in terms of size, and so is Earth, and so is our Sun, and so is our galaxy. We are smaller than small. We are nearly nothing. And that's just spatial scale. Let's talk about time. The universe is 13.8 billion years old. 13.8 billion. Earth formed 4.5 billion years ago. Life emerged about 3.8 billion years ago. Multicellular life appeared around 600 million years ago. Humans, anatomically modern humans, emerged about 300,000 years ago. Civilization, agriculture, and cities and writing began about 10,000 years ago. Recorded history covers about 5,000 years. Your lifetime, if you're lucky, is about 80 years. Let's put those numbers in perspective. If we represent the entire history of the universe as a single calendar year, with the Big Bang occurring at midnight on January 1st and the present moment at midnight on December 31st, when do humans appear? The Earth forms in early September. Life emerges a few weeks later. Multicellular life appears in mid-December. Dinosaurs roam the Earth on December 26th. They go extinct on December 30th. Humans appear at 11:52 p.m. on December 31st, 8 minutes before midnight. All of recorded history, everything from the first Sumerian cities to the present day, happens in the last 20 seconds of the year. Your entire life, from birth to death, is about a quarter of a second. A quarter of a second out of an entire year. That's your temporal significance in cosmic terms. And here's what makes it worse. The universe is just getting started. 13.8 billion years is nothing compared to what's ahead. Stars will continue to form for trillions of years. Low-mass stars, red dwarfs, will burn for 10 trillion years or more. The universe will continue expanding, possibly forever, for googles of years. 10 to the 100, a 1 with 100 zeros after it. That's a googol. And the universe might last that long, possibly longer. Human civilization has existed for 10,000 years, 10 to the 4th. The universe might last 10 to the 100th years. We are not even a rounding error in cosmic time. We are a flash, a spark, a brief moment of complexity in an incomprehensibly long story. The universe existed for 13.8 billion years without us. It will exist for trillions upon trillions of years after we're gone. Our temporal existence is as insignificant as our spatial existence. We are small in space. We are brief in time. We are cosmically irrelevant. So what does that mean? Let's think about what we mean by significance, by importance, by mattering. In human terms, things matter because they affect other humans. Your actions matter because they influence people around you. Historical events matter because they shaped civilization. Discoveries matter because they advanced knowledge. All of this is human-centered. Things matter relative to human values, human goals, human timeframes. But what about cosmic significance? Does anything matter from the perspective of the universe itself? Consider a star, our sun, for instance. It's burning hydrogen, fusing it into helium, releasing energy through nuclear fusion. This process will continue for about another 5 billion years. Then the sun will expand into a red giant, engulf the inner planets, including Earth, and eventually collapse into a white dwarf that will cool slowly for trillions of years. Does any of this matter cosmically? No. Stars are born and die by the billions. Our sun is ordinary. Its death will be unremarkable. The universe will not notice or care. Consider a galaxy. The Milky Way will collide with Andromeda in about 4 billion years. The two galaxies will merge, their stars redistributing into a new elliptical galaxy. From our perspective, this would be cataclysmic. From a cosmic perspective, it's routine. Galaxies merge constantly. It means nothing. Consider a black hole, massive objects warping space-time so severely that nothing can escape. They seem important, significant. And yet, from the universe's perspective, a black hole is just matter arranged in a particular way. Not special, not meaningful, just physics. Nothing in the universe has cosmic significance. Not stars, not galaxies, not black holes, and certainly not us. The universe operates according to physical laws, gravity, thermodynamics, quantum mechanics. These laws don't care what happens. They don't prefer any particular outcome. They're indifferent to existence and non-existence, to complexity and simplicity, to life and death. A star exploding as a supernova is not better or worse than a star burning quietly. It's just different. Neither matters more than the other cosmically. And humans, we're a particular arrangement of atoms that happens to be self-aware. We think, we feel, we create meaning, we care about things. But from the universe's perspective, we're no more significant than rocks. We're just matter, temporarily organized in a complex way. Eventually, we'll return to simpler forms: dust, gas, individual atoms dispersed across space. The universe doesn't care that we exist. It didn't create us for a purpose. It's not watching us. It's not judging us. It won't remember us. We could disappear tomorrow, all 8 billion of us, every human extinct, every trace of our civilization erased, and the universe would continue exactly as before. The stars would keep burning. The galaxies would keep rotating. Space would keep expanding. The laws of physics would operate unchanged. Nothing would be different. Nothing would be lost from a cosmic perspective. This is the heart of the pale blue dot problem. Not just that we're small, but that we're cosmically meaningless, that the universe is indifferent to our existence, that nothing we do matters on a scale larger than our own planet. We could cure all diseases, eliminate all suffering, spread throughout the galaxy, endure for billions of years, and it still wouldn't matter cosmically. Or we could destroy ourselves tomorrow, and it still wouldn't matter cosmically. The universe doesn't care either way. This is hard to accept, deeply hard, because we're built to feel important. Our brains evolved to care about things, to find meaning, to believe that our actions have consequences that matter. And they do. To us, to other humans, to life on Earth. But not cosmically, not in the grand scheme, not in any ultimate sense. The pale blue dot shows us this truth, forces us to confront it, makes us feel the weight of our own insignificance. And once you've seen it, once you've really understood it, you can't unsee it. Let's make this even more uncomfortable. Let's talk about isolation. We're not just small and brief and cosmically meaningless. We're also profoundly alone. The nearest star is 4.2 light-years away. We've already discussed the distance, 40 trillion kilometers. Light, the fastest thing in the universe, takes 4 years to cross that gap. Nothing with mass can reach the speed of light. The laws of physics forbid it. As you approach light speed, your mass increases, time dilates, and the energy required to accelerate further approaches infinity. The fastest spacecraft humans have ever built is the Parker Solar Probe, currently traveling at about 190 kilometers per second. That's fast. About 0.06% of the speed of light. At that speed, reaching the nearest star would take about 7,000 years. 7,000 years. Longer than all of recorded human history. Longer than agriculture has existed. Longer than any human institution has endured. And that's just to reach the nearest star, to explore the galaxy meaningfully, to visit even a tiny fraction of the 400 billion stars in the Milky Way would take millions of years, tens of millions, hundreds of millions. At which point, we're no longer talking about human timescales. We're talking about evolutionary timescales. The people who arrived at distant stars would be so different from the people who left Earth that calling them the same species would be questionable. And all of this assumes we can solve the engineering problems, building spacecraft that can function for thousands of years, sustaining closed ecosystems across generations, providing propulsion and navigation for journeys spanning light years. We can't do any of that yet. We might never be able to do it. The engineering might be too difficult. The energy requirements might be too high. The resources might not exist. And even if we could, even if we somehow developed interstellar travel, we'd still be confined to our galaxy. Moving between galaxies is harder still. Andromeda is 2.5 million light-years away. At 1% of light speed, which is far beyond our current capability, the journey would take 250 million years. At which point, we're talking about timescales longer than complex life has existed on Earth. We are trapped, not by lack of will or imagination, but by physics, by the fundamental structure of space-time, by the speed of light and the vast distances between stars. We evolved on this one planet. We're adapted to this one environment. We're trapped here by gravity and distance and the limitations of our biology. And we're alone. If there are other intelligences in the galaxy, and there might be, we will probably never meet them. The distances are too vast. The timescales are too long. The probability of two civilizations existing simultaneously and being close enough to communicate is vanishingly small. We are isolated by the structure of the universe itself, alone on our pale blue dot, unable to escape, unable to reach out, unable to connect with anyone beyond our own tiny world. This isolation is profound. It's not like being alone in a room where you could open the door and find others. It's like being alone in a prison cell where the walls are made of light years and the locks are the laws of physics. We're not just small and brief and meaningless. We're also alone. Profoundly, cosmically, perhaps permanently alone. And that makes the insignificance even harder to bear. So let's pause here and take stock. Let's summarize what we've learned about our cosmic situation. We are small, vanishingly small. Our entire planet is a dot invisible from even modest cosmic distances. We are brief, cosmically brief. Our species has existed for a fraction of a percent of cosmic history and will likely exist for a similar fraction going forward. We are meaningless. The universe doesn't care whether we exist or not. Our presence or absence makes no difference cosmically. We are isolated, trapped on one small world by distances so vast that escape is effectively impossible, and we are fragile. Our existence depends on a thin layer of atmosphere, a narrow temperature range, a stable star, a protective magnetic field, a fortunate orbit. Change any of these factors slightly, and we cease to exist. We are not central to the universe. We're not the purpose of creation. We're not the pinnacle of anything. We're an accident, a byproduct of physics and chemistry playing out on one unremarkable planet, orbiting one ordinary star in one typical galaxy among trillions. This is what the pale blue dot reveals. This is the problem it creates. How do we live with this knowledge? How do we find meaning when we know, truly know, that we're cosmically insignificant? How do we motivate ourselves to do anything when nothing we do matters on a scale larger than our own tiny planet? How do we avoid despair when confronted with our own smallness? These are not easy questions, and there are no easy answers. Some people respond by rejecting the premise. They insist that we are significant, that we do matter cosmically, that the universe does care. They create religions and philosophies that place humans at the center of meaning, that assert our importance despite the evidence. This is understandable. It's comforting. It makes life easier to bear, but it's also denial. It's refusing to look at the pale blue dot and accept what it shows us. It's closing your eyes to the truth because the truth is uncomfortable. Some people respond by embracing nihilism. They accept that nothing matters cosmically and conclude that nothing matters at all, that life is meaningless, that all our efforts are futile, that we might as well give up. This is also understandable. If cosmic significance is the only kind of significance that counts, and we don't have cosmic significance, then we don't have significance, period. But this conclusion is premature. It assumes that cosmic significance is the only kind that matters. And that's not obviously true. Some people respond by focusing on local significance. They accept that we don't matter cosmically, but argue that we matter locally, that our actions have consequences for other humans, that we can reduce suffering, increase happiness, create beauty, advance knowledge, that these things matter even if the universe doesn't care. This is a more sophisticated response. It acknowledges the truth of cosmic insignificance while maintaining that meaning can exist at smaller scales. But it still leaves questions unanswered. If cosmic insignificance is true, if nothing we do echoes in eternity, if all our efforts will eventually be erased by entropy, does local significance really mean anything? Or is it just a story we tell ourselves to avoid facing the void? These are the responses people have to the pale blue dot problem: denial, nihilism, or localism. Each has its appeal. Each has its flaws. But there might be another way to think about this. A fourth response, one that's harder to articulate, but potentially more profound. What if cosmic insignificance is actually liberating? Let's approach this from a different angle. Let's think about what it would mean if we were cosmically significant. Imagine a universe where humans were the purpose, where the entire cosmos was created for us, where our actions mattered on a universal scale, where the fate of galaxies depended on our choices. That sounds good initially, important, meaningful, central. But think about the burden, the responsibility, the pressure. If the universe cares about what you do, if cosmic forces are watching and judging, if your choices have eternal consequences, how do you live? How do you act? How do you bear that weight? Every decision becomes fraught. Every action carries infinite significance. Every mistake could have cosmic repercussions. You can never rest, never relax, never just exist without worrying about your cosmic role. That's not liberating. That's crushing. But if we're cosmically insignificant, if the universe doesn't care what we do, then we're free. Free from cosmic judgment, free from ultimate responsibility, free to create our own meaning without worrying about whether it aligns with some cosmic purpose. The universe's indifference is not a curse, it's a liberation. You can live however you want. You can pursue whatever matters to you. You can create, explore, love, laugh, suffer, grieve, and none of it has to mean anything beyond itself. You don't need cosmic permission. You don't need universal validation. You don't need to justify your existence to anyone or anything. You just exist, and that's enough. This is the paradox of cosmic insignificance. It feels like it should diminish us, make us meaningless. And in one sense it does, but in another sense it frees us. It removes the burden of cosmic importance and allows us to focus on what actually matters to us as humans living human lives on a human scale. Does it matter cosmically that you love your family? No. Does it matter to you? Yes, and that's enough. Does it matter cosmically that humans create art and music and literature? No. Does it enrich human experience? Yes, and that's enough. Does it matter cosmically that we reduce suffering and increase well-being? No. Does it matter to the beings who suffer and experience well-being? Yes, and that's enough. Cosmic significance is not the only kind of significance. Maybe it's not even the important kind. Maybe what matters is subjective significance, the meaning we create for ourselves, the values we choose to uphold, the experiences we decide are worthwhile. The universe doesn't have to care for things to matter to us, and mattering to us, to conscious beings who experience and feel and care, might be the only kind of mattering that actually makes sense. Think about it this way. The universe is mostly empty space and dead matter, hydrogen and helium drifting in the void, rocks orbiting stars, stars burning out, galaxies colliding. None of it conscious, none of it aware, none of it caring. And then, in at least one tiny corner of the cosmos, matter organized itself into life, into consciousness, into beings who can observe and understand and create meaning. That's extraordinary, not cosmically. The universe doesn't think it's extraordinary, but it's extraordinary to us, and we're the ones who get to decide what's extraordinary. We're the universe becoming aware of itself. We're the part that observes and understands. We're the meaning makers, and the fact that we're small and brief doesn't diminish that. If anything, it makes it more precious, because we're rare, possibly unique, definitely temporary, and that rarity and temporariness make what we do and experience and create more valuable, not less. If we lasted forever, if we were cosmically significant and eternal, any particular moment would be diluted by infinity. It wouldn't matter which moment, because there would always be more moments. But we're finite. We have limited time. Each moment is a fraction of the small amount we have. That makes each moment more valuable. Your life is roughly 80 years, 4,000 weeks, 30,000 days, 700,000 hours. Each hour is precious because you only have 700,000 of them. Each day is significant because you only have 30,000. If you had infinite days, no day would be special. But you don't. So they are. This is the liberating truth hidden inside cosmic insignificance. We're small. We're brief. We're meaningless to the universe. And that makes what we do meaningful to us. We don't have to carry the weight of cosmic purpose. We just have to live as well as we can, as meaningfully as we can define meaning, for as long as we have. That's enough. That's more than enough. That's everything. Let's talk about the overview effect. This is a psychological phenomenon reported by astronauts who have seen Earth from space. When you view Earth from orbit, something changes in your perception. You see the planet as a whole. You see the thin blue line of atmosphere. You see the fragility, the smallness, the isolation. And apparently, this experience is profound. Astronauts report feeling a deep sense of connection to Earth and to humanity, a recognition that national borders are artificial, that conflicts are petty, that we're all in this together on this one small world. The overview effect is the opposite of what you might expect. Seeing how small Earth is doesn't make astronauts feel small. It makes them feel connected. It makes them care more about the planet and its inhabitants. Why? Because perspective matters. Context matters. Understanding scale doesn't just show you how small you are. It shows you what you're part of. Yes, Earth is tiny compared to the universe, but it's also everything we have. Every person you love lives here. Every experience you've had happened here. Every moment of human history occurred on this one world. That makes it precious. Not cosmically, but to us, which is the only perspective that matters to us. The pale blue dot doesn't just make us feel small. It makes us feel connected, because we're all on that dot together. All of us, every human, every conflict, every difference, all happening on this one tiny stage floating in the void. And when you see it from that perspective, the conflicts seem smaller. The differences seem less important. The commonalities seem more fundamental. We're all temporary arrangements of matter that happen to be conscious. We're all experiencing existence from the inside. We're all aware of our own insignificance and struggling with it. We're all trying to find meaning in a universe that offers none. That's the human condition. And it's universal. Every person, regardless of nationality or religion or ideology, faces the same existential situation. We're all on the pale blue dot, all equally small, all equally insignificant cosmically, all equally precious to ourselves and each other. That realization can be unifying. It can be the basis for compassion, for humility, for perspective. If we're all insignificant, then no one is more significant than anyone else. We're all in the same boat, all equally temporary, all equally vulnerable. And that should make us kinder, more patient, more willing to help each other through the brief time we have. Because in the cosmic scheme, our differences are trivial. We're all human, all conscious, all aware, all struggling with the knowledge of our own smallness. That's what the pale blue dot can teach us if we let it. Not despair, not nihilism, but humility and compassion and perspective. Let's think about future generations, about the people who will come after us. If we're cosmically insignificant, does that mean they're insignificant too? Does it mean we have no responsibility to them? No, the opposite. Because we're all we have. Humanity is all we have. This planet is all we have. There's no cosmic cavalry coming to save us. No universal purpose ensuring our survival. No guarantee that we'll endure. We're on our own, which means we're responsible for each other, for the future, for making sure that the brief flash of consciousness in this corner of the universe continues for as long as possible. Not for cosmic reasons, not because the universe demands it, but because we value consciousness. We value life. We value the ability to experience and understand and create. And we want that to continue, not forever. We know we're temporary, but for as long as possible, within our temporary span. That means caring for the planet, not destroying the systems that support us, not using up resources that future generations will need, not creating risks that could end human civilization prematurely. We don't owe this to the universe. We owe it to each other, to the humans who will live on this pale blue dot after we're gone. They'll be just as small as we are, just as insignificant cosmically, just as isolated, just as temporary. But they'll be conscious, they'll experience, they'll create meaning, they'll look up at the stars and feel wonder, they'll look at images of Earth from space and feel the same mix of insignificance and connection that we feel. And they deserve the chance to do that, to exist, to experience, to be part of the temporary flash of consciousness in this tiny corner of the cosmos. That's why we should care for the future, not for cosmic reasons, but for human reasons, because we value consciousness and want it to continue. The pale blue dot shows us our responsibility. We're the custodians of this tiny world, not because the universe gave us that role, but because we're the ones here, the ones capable of understanding what we have, the ones capable of protecting it or destroying it. That's a responsibility we can't escape, and cosmic insignificance doesn't diminish it. If anything, it makes it more important, because we're all there is. This pale blue dot is all we have, and if we don't take care of it, no one will. Let's talk about wonder, about awe, about the emotion you feel when you truly contemplate cosmic scale. When you look up at the night sky and think about the distances involved, the ages of the stars, the vastness of space, what do you feel? For many people, it's awe, a sense of something larger than themselves, a recognition of mystery and grandeur. This is paradoxical. You're confronting your own insignificance, your own smallness. And yet the feeling is not entirely negative. There's something beautiful in it, something transcendent. Why? Maybe because awe is about recognizing limits, about encountering something beyond your ability to fully grasp, about standing at the edge of comprehension and peering into the infinite. The universe is incomprehensibly large, incomprehensibly old, incomprehensibly complex. Our minds can process the numbers. We can say 13.8 billion years. We can say 93 billion light years. We can say 2 trillion galaxies. But we can't really grasp what those numbers mean. We can't hold that scale in our minds. It exceeds our capacity. And there's something profound about encountering our own limits, about finding something we can't fully understand or contain. It reminds us that we're finite, that there's more to reality than we can experience or comprehend. That mystery exists, and mystery is important. It's easy in our daily lives to feel like we understand things, like we're in control, like reality is manageable and comprehensible. But the universe reminds us otherwise. It's vaster than we can imagine, older than we can grasp, stranger than we know. And we're part of it. We're made of the same atoms as stars. We're governed by the same physical laws. We're not separate from the cosmos. We're embedded in it. That's awe. That's wonder. The recognition that we're small parts of something incomprehensibly large, that we're temporary manifestations of processes that have been unfolding for billions of years and will continue for billions more. It's humbling, but it's also exhilarating, because it means we're connected to something vast, something ancient, something that exceeds our understanding. We're cosmically insignificant, and we're cosmically connected, both at once. And there's a strange beauty in that paradox. Let's return to the photograph. The pale blue dot, that single pixel showing Earth from the edge of the solar system. When that image was taken in 1990, it was controversial. Some people at NASA thought it was a waste of resources. Voyager 1 was at the edge of the solar system. Its mission was to study the outer planets, not to take pictures of Earth. Turning the camera back toward the sun risked damaging the instruments. But Carl Sagan, the astronomer who had advocated for the image, believed it was important. He believed that seeing Earth from that distance would change how people understood their place in the cosmos. He was right. That image has become one of the most iconic photographs ever taken. It's been reproduced countless times. It's inspired reflections on human insignificance, on environmental responsibility, on the fragility of our existence. And it continues to provoke the same question it provoked in 1990. If we're this small, if everything we care about exists on this one tiny dot, barely visible from the edge of our own solar system, what does that mean? We've spent this time exploring possible answers. We've looked at our cosmic smallness from every angle, spatial, temporal, existential. We've confronted our insignificance, our isolation, our fragility, our meaninglessness from a universal perspective. And we've struggled with what that means for how we should live, for what we should value, for how we should think about ourselves and our place in the universe. There's no single answer, no resolution that makes the discomfort disappear completely. No way to reconcile our cosmic insignificance with our lived experience of meaning and purpose. But maybe that's okay. Maybe the tension is the point. Maybe living with that paradox, holding both our smallness and our significance in mind simultaneously, is what it means to be human in a cosmos we're beginning to understand. We are small. That's true. We're insignificant cosmically. Also true. And yet we matter to ourselves, to each other, in ways that are profound and real, even though they don't echo through the cosmos. The pale blue dot doesn't resolve this paradox. It illuminates it. It forces us to see clearly what we are and where we are. A tiny world, a brief moment, a small flash of consciousness in an incomprehensibly vast and ancient universe. And that flash is precious, not because the universe thinks so, but because we think so, and we're the ones who get to decide what's precious. Let's think about what we've learned, what the pale blue dot teaches us, what cosmic perspective offers. First, humility. We are not the center of the universe. We're not the purpose of creation. We're not cosmically important. Recognizing this should make us humble, less arrogant, less convinced of our own centrality. This is healthy. Humility is a virtue. It makes us more open to learning, more willing to admit mistakes, more capable of cooperating with others. If we understand our cosmic insignificance, we're less likely to inflate our own importance, less likely to assume we have all the answers, less likely to dismiss perspectives different from our own. Second, perspective. The problems that seem enormous in daily life, the conflicts that feel all-consuming, the dramas that dominate our attention, all of these shrink when viewed from cosmic scale. This doesn't mean they don't matter. They matter to us. But it does mean they're not ultimate. They're not permanent. They're temporary features of temporary lives on a temporary world. That perspective can be calming. It can reduce anxiety. It can help us focus on what actually matters rather than getting lost in petty concerns. Third, connection. We're all on this pale blue dot together. All of us, every human, sharing this one small world, facing the same cosmic insignificance, struggling with the same existential questions. That should unite us, not divide us. Our differences, while real and sometimes important, are trivial compared to our commonalities. We're all conscious beings, all aware of our mortality. all searching for meaning in a universe that offers none. That's the human condition. And it's universal. Every person experiences it, and that should make us more compassionate, more willing to help each other through the brief time we have. Fourth, responsibility. This planet is all we have. This atmosphere, this biosphere, this one fragile world spinning through the void. There's nowhere else to go. No backup, no plan B. If we destroy this, if we make it uninhabitable through carelessness or greed or short-sightedness, we're done. Humanity ends. Consciousness in this corner of the universe goes dark. That's not cosmically important, but it's important to us, and that should motivate us to take care of what we have, to be better custodians, to think long-term, to consider future generations. Fifth, meaning. Cosmic insignificance doesn't eliminate meaning, it just relocates it. Meaning is not something the universe imposes on us. It's something we create for ourselves. We decide what matters. We choose what to value. We create purpose through our actions and relationships and experiences. And that meaning is real. It's not less real for being subjective. It's not less important for being temporary. It's the only kind of meaning that makes sense for finite, conscious beings. These are the lessons of the pale blue dot. Humility, perspective, connection, responsibility, meaning. Not cosmic lessons, human lessons. Lessons for how to live as small, brief, temporary beings in a vast, ancient, indifferent universe. There's one more thing to say, one more aspect of the pale blue dot problem to address. The photograph was taken in 1990, 35 years ago now. In that time, our ability to see Earth from space has increased dramatically. We have satellites constantly photographing our planet. We have live feeds from the International Space Station. We have rovers on Mars sending back images that show Earth as a distant star. We've accumulated an enormous library of images showing our world from space, showing its beauty, its fragility, its smallness. And yet, these images haven't changed human behavior as much as you might expect. We still have wars. We still degrade the environment. We still act as though we have more than one planet. Why? Because knowing something intellectually and feeling it emotionally are different. Because the scale of cosmic insignificance is hard to keep in mind. Because daily life draws our attention to immediate concerns, and it's easy to forget the larger context. We need reminders. We need to periodically step back and remember where we are, what we are, how small and temporary and precious our existence is. That's what the pale blue dot photograph does. It's a reminder, a jolt of perspective, a way to recalibrate our sense of scale. And we need that regularly, because without it, we drift back into thinking we're more important than we are, that our concerns are ultimate, that we have infinite time and infinite resources. We don't. We have one small planet, one brief moment, one chance to get this right. The pale blue dot shows us that truth, not to crush us, not to make us despair, but to remind us what we have, what we are, what we should protect. That tiny dot, barely visible in a beam of sunlight, contains everything we care about, everyone we love, every possibility for the future, all of it fragile, all of it temporary, all of it precious beyond measure. Not because the universe says so, but because we say so. And that's enough. We started by looking at a photograph, a single pixel showing Earth from 6 billion kilometers away. We asked why that image makes us feel small, why it creates an existential problem. And we've explored the answer. We're small because the universe is vast. We're insignificant because the cosmos doesn't care about us. We're isolated because the distances between stars are unbridgeable. We're temporary because the universe is ancient and will endure long after we're gone. All of this is true, objectively, measurably, unavoidably true. And it's uncomfortable. It challenges our sense of importance. It undermines the stories we tell ourselves about being central, about mattering, about having cosmic purpose. But we've also found that cosmic insignificance doesn't have to be crushing. It can be liberating. It can free us from the burden of cosmic importance and allow us to create our own meaning on a human scale. We matter to ourselves. We matter to each other. We matter in the only way that makes sense for finite, conscious beings living temporary lives on a temporary world. The universe doesn't have to care for our caring to be real. And that's the resolution to the pale blue dot problem. Not a solution, not an answer that makes the discomfort disappear, but an understanding that allows us to live with the paradox. We are cosmically insignificant, and we are deeply meaningful, both at once, and there's a strange beauty in holding both truths simultaneously. We are small, we are brief, we are alone, we are temporary, and we are here, now, conscious, aware, capable of understanding our own smallness and finding meaning despite it. That's the human condition. That's what the pale blue dot shows us. We're just a mote of dust suspended in a sunbeam, and we're everything we'll ever have. Both. Always both. And that's enough. More than enough. That's everything.